I'm excited to introduce you to our facilitation methodology, the 10 Principles of Facilitation. When we began leadership strategies about 3 decades ago, we interviewed veteran facilitators who were considered among the best in the field. From the information gained, we identified numerous tools and techniques that we have organized into 10 fundamental principles. These 10 principles form a comprehensive facilitation methodology that can be used with any facilitated session to produce consistent, predictable, high-quality results. In this video series, we can't cover the 100+ strategies we teach in our 4-day Effective Facilitator workshop. Therefore, we have selected 21 of the key tools and techniques that will accelerate you on your journey to facilitation mastery. Let's get started by giving you a brief overview of each of the 10 principles and what we cover in the video series. So let's start with Principle 1, Preparing for Success, Cover All the Bases. In that principle, we focus on the key bases that you must cover in your preparation if you want a knock-their-socks-off facilitated session. In the video series, we focus on one crucial concept, the 6 P's of preparation. These are the 6 key things, regardless of the session, you want to ensure that you know before the session starts. Principle number 2, getting the session started. Inform, excite, empower, involve. At Leadership Strategies, we know that when executives walk into the room, they have the power. And you have at most 15 minutes to get them to turn their power over to you. Now, when this transfer of power doesn't happen, it's a problem. See, the nice ones will just ignore you. They will play on their phones, have side conversations, etc. The not so nice ones, they will fight you. They're the ones who are saying, "Oh, this agenda doesn't make any sense. Oh, you really don't understand our organization. Oh, this is all wrong." Why does this happen? Because they have not turned their power over to you. At Leadership Strategies, we run hundreds of facilitated sessions every year. In this module, we show you the best strategy we know for getting executives to turn their power over to you. We call it IEEI, Inform, Excite, Empower, Involve. Principle number 3 is focusing the group. How do you do it? Simple. Establish the course, avoid detours. In this principle, we cover 2 important techniques, checkpoints for keeping people on track, and PDQs for consistently giving accurate, clear, and concise directions. Principle 4 is respecting the power of the pen. Use it, don't abuse it, make it theirs. It's amazing how few facilitators understand the power of the pen. Someone might say, for example, we need to put together a process improvement team. But what does a facilitator write? Hire a process reengineering consultant. That's not what the person said, but that's what the facilitator heard. Why? Because every time we put together a process improvement team, we hired a consultant, so he just shortened it. Or the facilitator might say, is it okay if I write it this way? Now, what the facilitator is subtly doing is disempowering the group. He or she is saying, you really don't know how to speak. My words are much better than yours, so let's use my words. The key to principle number 4 is teaching facilitators to write first, discuss second. Write what the person said, not what they heard, and so on. However, if you write everything everyone is saying, you're going to have these long lulls while the group is waiting for you to finish writing. So how do you respect the power of the pen and at the same time avoid those long lulls? We cover this in Principle 4. Next, Principle number 5, information gathering. Know your tools and how to use them. There are many tools for gathering information like brainstorming, listing, grouping, prioritizing, decision trees, etc. But the most important tool for gathering information is asking questions. In this principle, we start with one of the most powerful information gathering tools, the secret of the starting question. What do we mean? Well, have you ever asked a group a question and gotten crickets? That is complete silence. You're going to learn how to ask a starting question so that never happens to you again. This question format all but guarantees to get your group contributing right away, providing more answers and often better answers. We also show you how to brainstorm with your group, how to consolidate the ideas generated to make them easier to process and work with. Let's go on. Principle 6, managing dysfunction. How do you do it? Conscious prevention, early detection, clean resolution. As facilitators, we believe that the best dysfunctions are those that don't occur. So it's essential that we have tools for preventing dysfunction from happening. But should it occur, we also need tools for identifying it early and then resolving it cleanly. We start this principle with a situation from my past that I encountered before learning the tools and strategies covered in this video course. As you will see, let's just say I handled the situation less than masterfully. Then we'll walk through our 4-step formula for addressing dysfunction. Principle 7, consensus building. Now this will likely surprise you, but through our work, we've learned that there are only 3 reasons people disagree. That is, every disagreement in the entire world is either a level 1, level 2, or level 3 disagreement. Now that's the good news. There's only 3 reasons people disagree. Now here's the bad news, and it is very bad news. If you have a level 3 disagreement, you try to solve it with level 1 techniques, you are going to fail. Level 3 disagreements can't be solved with level 1 techniques. Likewise, you have a level 1 disagreement and you try to solve it with level 2 techniques, you're going to fail. So it's vitally important that as facilitators, we first understand the 3 reasons people disagree and then have strategies for addressing each one. In this principle, we show you examples of the 3 types of disagreements and then focus on a key technique for handling the most common type of disagreement. Principle 8, keeping the energy high. How do you do it? You set the pace, anticipate the lulls, and react accordingly. Of all the things that separate great facilitators from good ones, at Leadership Strategies, we've discovered that energy is the single biggest differentiator. Why? Because energy projects confidence. And unfortunately, the lack of energy tends to project a lack of confidence. The result? You can be perfectly prepared and confident in your facilitation skills, but if you start a session with low energy, your participants may immediately assume that you have low confidence. In this principle, we'll show you how to use level 3 energy to project confidence at the start of a session. Principle 9, closing the session. You know how most meetings end. Oops, time's up, let's get out of here. Not helpful. We recommend that you do 4 key things in closing a session: review, evaluate, close, and debrief. In this segment, we show you how to review participants' key topics that were gathered at the start of the session and how to clear the parking boards so that everyone in the meeting knows what issues still need to be addressed, what actions need to be taken, and what decisions have been made. Finally, Principle 10, agenda setting. You may be wondering, why is agenda setting last? Well, now that you understand Principles 1 through 9, we can focus on the things you do to put them all together into building a powerful agenda. In this video series, we share with you the critical elements that you need to develop for each agenda item to be sure you know your process cold. Well, together, these 10 principles make up what we call the facilitator's methodology. And it doesn't matter whether you're doing strategic planning, process improvement, focus group sessions, and after-action review, team building, or any other session. We find that if you can get good at these 10 fundamental principles, you will be a much better facilitator no matter what you're facilitating. And when you learn a new facilitation process, you can more quickly become good at that process because you have the solid fundamentals that often separate great facilitators from good ones. So why do we call it a methodology? Well, let's take a look. With principle number 1, preparing for success, you do that principle once for a session. Likewise, principle 2, getting the session started, you do that once for a session. Then you enter what we call the facilitation cycle, where once for every agenda item, you do 3 things. Principle 3, focus the group. Principle 4, using the power of the pen. And then principle 5, information gathering. Then you move on to the next agenda item, and you once more focus the group, use the power of the pen, and do information gathering. Then the next agenda item, and then the next, and so on. Once you get to the end of the agenda, you pop out the other side and you close the session. But while you're in the facilitation cycle, you may have to bring in the group dynamics principles. For example, you might have some dysfunctional behavior. You bring in principle number 6. Or you might have a disagreement. You bring in principle number 7. Or the energy may be dying. Bring in principle number 8. And as we said, principle number 9 is closing the session. And then principle number 10, agenda setting, shows you how to put all the other principles together. That's why we call this the facilitator's methodology. We believe if you employ the methodology and the foundation skills on which it is built, you can have a more effective group session, increase engagement and commitment to action, and gain better results.